Economic Forum says is going to be after the Great Reset. The new economic system that's envisioned has to have a new financial system, and it has to be digitized. That's why the central banks of the world today are all coordinating to create a system, a network of digital currency. The digitalization of money requires a digital ID for all the people that would use that financial system. Digital identity means that you can be identified in such a way to attach all of your history, your activity, and your future to one single point that represents you. Digital identity means total loss of privacy, total revealing of every conceivable activity that you could be involved with, all tied to one identity so that wherever you move in the world, you can be known, and that additional transaction history of your travels will be recorded. A lot of people talk about how great Bitcoin is, for instance, but in the case of Bitcoin, you have a blockchain technology that underpins Bitcoin and puts all of the transactions into what they call a blockchain, where there is no transparency either. It just happens to be distributed, but where there's no one central place it's stored, but you can still look into anybody's blockchain and see exactly who did what, when, where, how. The central bank are intending to create a digital currency that will use blockchain to collect with all of the pieces of information in it, but it will be flashed back to a central computer at the central bank, and it will be stored under your digital identity. That will be able to be analyzed using artificial intelligence software where they can predict your behavior, and if they don't like the behavior that's predicted, they can modify your behavior. This is the essence of scientific dictatorship in the end. Whoever controls the data controls the object of the data. In other words, where it was collected from. Wherever you might go, wherever you might show up, whatever you did on social media, tags where you are or who you're with or whatever. All of that information can be transmitted back to be attached to, in blockchain form, attached to your digital identity.
Ursula von der Leyen, perhaps the most prominent advocate of that dreaded COVID passport, was out there advocating that we all have to have digital IDs because the future will be digital. You shouldn't have privacy, apparently. Yeah, that's what she believes. She claims that the IDs can be a real booster to emerging economies. The trick is to build public digital infrastructure, she said, that is interoperable, open to all, and trusted. Joining me now to explain just how dangerous this is, Nigel Farage, former Brexit Party leader. Nigel, this is about global government control and a way to, what, redistribute the wealth away from the so-called wealthy nations to everybody else?
Well, it's about control, isn't it? I mean, this is the most glaring example we've ever seen from a prominent world leader. Von der Leyen is the president of the European Commission, 450 million people living within that union. Oh, and by the way, she's unelected, she's appointed, and here she is brazenly saying we need a digital ID card or app on our phones. Now, bear in mind, France and Germany are trialing this already. The European Union, she wants this to be enforced by the early 2030s and, may I add, backed up by a central bank digital currency, living in a cashless society. And now she wants the whole thing to go global. Can you imagine? On this ID card will be not just your date of birth, your gender, your eye color, your height, your approximate weight. There will be your vaccine status, your financial status, and goodness knows what else will be on that card. Can you imagine this data falling into the hands of bad actors? And if you think about it, I speak as somebody who's recently been debanked as a result of his political opinions. And this is happening in America too, as you well know, to lots of people. If we're not careful, we head towards a Chinese-style social credit system where unless you go along with the views of the day, you become a non-person. I cannot think of a more dangerous initiative than this. The problem we've got is we have to ask a question whether our leaders actually believe in our nation, because they're prepared to surrender sovereignty to the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the EU, and goodness knows what comes after that. And the truth of it is, the world will be a better, more prosperous, peaceful place if democratic nation states cooperate and trade together, not give away their powers to unelected bureaucrats. And that was the Brexit message all those years ago. I now think what our little island did becomes a stronger message for the world, and in particular, after what von der Leyen said. We simply have to say, no, we believe in liberty, we believe in freedom, we believe in the nation state.